being steadfast in preparing something this great. Unfortunately, I'm in the hospital right now. I'm laying down, but I don't want to be in any other place or in any other space except this. Shawari, for that, appreciate it, and thank you so much, because that's the kind of person that he is. A leader, someone who never thinks of himself. He's always about, he knows that I'm in pain, and he said, go first. Even though he's our father here, he's our leader here, and he's our inspiration. You know, Fela Kuti died in 1997. I was less than 10 years old. And when I discovered his music and his messages, I regretted not being not being matured when he was making music. I would be very, very happy and proud to say that I share the flow, and I share time, and I believe that he might be more impactful, powerful, more passionate. Thank you so much. I'm not going to say much, but I need to touch on something that's been bothering me a while. Just a few days ago, a train derailed from Abuja to Ghana. And we all know the reason why it derailed. The nuts and the bolts were removed to be sold as scrap. So I have a question, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys have the answer to this question. Do you know who is in charge of securing that railway line? Does anybody know? Please, if you do raise hand and just let you know who has the contract that railway line safe. Anybody know? It's not our Nigerian police, which that's supposed to be their primary job. Take care of our. It is a man, a cleric, called. He is the one who has the contract to secure Abuja to Kaduna railway line. So his security out is supposed to be taking care of that. So our police is funded, and contracts of over 2 billion naira is given to a cleric who is supposed to be in the mosque preaching to people and telling the government to do the thing. Do you see where our problems? Well, I wouldn't say that's the only one place where our problems are from, but that's how complicated and how stupid our problems are. Recently, we saw a video of workers of that railway line complaining about not being paid. One of the workers who are in charge of securing the railway line. Paid. Imagine, you are not being paid. They can remove some of those nuts and bolts and sell them in the scrap market. If not, they will see people doing that and they say, hey, just give me a share, give me a little piece of the funds, and then you can go ahead and remove as much nuts and bolts. So this isn't just a little part of our dysfunctional police system that I want to discuss today. I don't want to take so much of them, but that's a little bit on this. If it comes to talking about education, I will also be glad to share a little bit.
Thank you, Dantelo. Thank you for that insightful submission. Man, I've learned something today. My ears are tingling, and intermixing with, let me not just go to the rabbit hole yet, but yeah. So, at this point, and let's set the ball rolling. Yeah, I think I've said quite enough from my end. Civic there. Great. Yeah. Lava. Thank you. Yeah, I do have it for now. Let's just keep the conversation rolling as possible. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, which do we go with? The state of the Nigerian police, or do we go with the education sector first? Yeah, I think maybe we should start with the education sector first. So, overview of our education sector. Where are we? What are the challenges we're facing in education? I'll give a brief overview. Right, the top pressing areas in our education infrastructure, and mind you, education, the quality of education, is one of the fundamental things that you use to define and determine the quality of the standard of living of a particular country. The quality of education. So, challenges we're facing in Nigeria. Number one, underfunding. Only 7%, about 7% GDP is allocated to education. UNESCO recommends a range of 50% annually. There's infrastructure deficits. Over 20,000 classrooms are needed. Many schools lack electricity, sanitation, and internet. It's really misaligned with global demands and the current realities out there. And there's a teacher quality. Many of them are underqualified and paid, leading to frequent strikes. Then there's also, the angle of high dropout rates. Girls, due to poverty, early marriage, and child labor. Think about that. The vessels that bear life and pass on the baton of life from generation to generation are vulnerable to high dropout. You have a high dropout rate, right? Then there's the digital, 30% of students have access to internet and good learning. So like this sector. So I have to say this. What's your thought on this? I really wish I could use house present them in English, but there's a sector that our politicians really don't give a shit about, like education, because I've traveled across 5 to 6 different states in northern Nigeria in the past 1.5 months, and just going into random schools. And out of those schools, probably 35, 40 schools, there's only 2 that have a security guard. Only 2 schools. And some of these schools, actually, you can see there's an attempt on renovation or attempt on placing some kind of infrastructure in the security. So before you know, the light bulbs are gone, the fans are gone, the desks and chairs are gone. In fact, the roofing, the zinc, kids go up there and they're removed because there's no security. So can you imagine investing 15, 20, 30, 40 million naira into, renovating the school or building the school, and then not caring about paying 60, 70 for a security guard or 2 security guards to secure that wealth? But when you go to the local government secretariat or the State House of Assembly, there's police and security like it's the war zone. They do not give a shit about schools. They do not. I renovated a few schools earlier this last year, and I went to take a look. And one of them already, the light fixes are already gone, despite all the
burglar and all the security that we had because someone found a way to go through the ceiling. There's only one security guy in there, and when we talked to him, he said he's been working there for 20 years and his salary is still 4,500 naira. And in fact, he was fired. Like, he was fired. He was asked like to go, but he just sticks because he didn't know anything other than being there and being the security guard. And this guy is so old. I don't think he can do anything when he sees anybody. Oh, I don't want to talk too much, but here is today is the first day that we are getting back to work, even though I still was able to attend money online. And it's like a seminar where all teachers of our school meet the leaders and then we lecture ourselves about education. And one of the leaders, he said, why do the best people in China decide to become teachers? Because they are the most talented. The most talented people in China are the ones who teach primary school because foundation. And that's the reason why China is a global superpower today. Even us who are here, they really carefully handpick the best of the best, even from America, South Africa, Australia, England. For you to be a primary school teacher, you really have to be at the top of your game. There are some things that it's almost like it has to be a gift. And those are the teachers. Primary teachers are paid more than university teachers in China. We have the sense to understand that. No, we don't even have the mindset to really understand why our teachers in Nigeria almost the most minimum wage. So this actually just needs a job. Someone who actually has the passion and wants to be a teacher, not the best of the best, competing for the highest wages in town to be teachers. So we are completely off course. And that's why democracy, I don't think that is going to help us. We need a revolution. We need a complete system and mindset overhaul. That's the only way for us to actually put the right systems in place that actually identify the most important things and pursue them aggressively for us to actually have a country that works because we have everything that it takes. We have the people, we have the resources, we have the land, we have the temperature, we have the climate, we have everything. Because we have the wrong system and we have this white people democracy, the engine of Toyota Camry put into a Beetle and you expect it to work. I'm sorry. That's not going to work and that's what we need to change. Thank you so much. That's all I need to say for today. I need to get back onto the bed. I don't think I have more energy to talk anymore. Thank you so much for having me and I cannot wait to listen to Shawari speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you very much. I have some thoughts to share, but at this point, I think it will be nice for Shore to, take it up from here. What have you got to say? I mean, what are your thoughts on where things are at in the education sector? What can be done?
Because I just can you hear me? Oh yeah, I just think Dan Bello really dug deep into this, and I position it is really really a huge problem that Nigeria's um, leadership priority is not of education of the youth, but they're very systematic about it. Systematic in a way that while they are defunding the majority of the population, they are also funding likely the children of the elites. They are giving them the best education possible.
Yeah, I think, yeah, let me see.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Requesting to come up. Just give us a few minutes. Once we have Baba Shu speak, and then we can have speakers, and then we can obviously engage in a conversation. Thank you so much, Dambela, for taking out time to really come and just speak to us. Please look after yourself and hoping you get well soon. Do we have a show up?
Can you hear me now?
Not yet, not yet. Just not yet. Oh,
Okay.
I want to see. I want to see if I can actually send it to.
I may need to restart my phone.
This is me too.
All right.
Yeah,
Can you?
I think the mic would go straight to his ear. There you go.
All right.
So,
Okay. Can you hear me now?
More.
Can you hear me?
I'm trying to come back up stage. I think something I just want to say about. So I think I'm echoing Chichi.
No, you are.
Yeah, if you can mute, please. So I was just.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was just part of a conversation that we know as Freedom Republic. We're doing it on Twitter Space, but we're having some technical issues. I'm here sharing the platform with Dan Bello. You guys know Dan Bello from the internet. He's a very, very prolific, talented writer, satirist, and also a teacher in China. He's talking about the foundation of education in China, telling us that the best people in China, who the most talented teachers in China are placed in secondary schools, and they hire teachers from all over the world, South Africa, US. I don't know if they hire from Nigeria, but and today is the starting day in China for school, and everything is to turn things around, how to make sure that these kids are ready and for the future. So, because our conversation today is about policing and education, he also did mention derailed train in the one that was going to Kaduna this last week. That the person who was given contract to protect the train is a religious priest, not somebody known as Lao. Is one of the leaders of. He's a religious leader who was given the contract, who probably doesn't even know what the contract is all about. But this is how patronage works. That's probably why we got into trouble every day. By the way, yesterday I was watching in Nigeria, and I don't remember his name, and I think it was in Dakar, Senegal. Transformation of Senegal's transportation system is unbelievable. But you know how it is in Nigeria. We have been making no progress, while other African countries, even smaller Caribbean countries, have been making major progress. And this boils down to, as you know, and we say all the time, leadership. About so, I'm going to try and rejoin the platform, the space where the conversation is going on, and I hope you can just hang on with us and listen to the conversation through my phone, which is hanging here. So when you see that my mouth is not moving, it's good.
Getting us to that improved standard of living, quality education that empowers you to make impacts that matters, not just education that makes you a wage slave. But yeah, I'll stop at this point and hand over the mic to Omoyele Shore. So we lost you at some point. So yeah,
yes, can you hear me now?
The stage yours. Yeah, loud and clear.
Thank you very much. I I was just referring to Dan Bello's very instructive and very powerful submission about the two topics we're discussing. He talked about police and who the contractors are, who are to man the train tracks between Kaduna in Abuja, the one that derailed this last week. I'm not surprised that he made a revelation that the person who was given that contract is a sheikh, Lao. I know Lao myself. Well, not in person, but he once threatened to sue me uh, when there was a report, it's our reporters that which was a mistake because we're referring to another Lao, not his own from Yobe, and he took it personal. But it is not also in the North alone that is a problem. I think generally across the country, uh, we've ceded security to private contractors who may know or not know anything about contracting. What it takes for you to become a security contractor, given um, close to the same government. Now the element shifted aside, and it is a private contractor, Tompolo, who runs virtually all the pipeline contracts in the Niger Delta region. And he determines what leaves and what goes into Nigeria. And when you have a country like that, where non-state actors have taken over the role of the state, and then you have a police force that's underpaid, and they themselves are not protected, and also have been seeded to protect the people who are protecting the or getting the contracts. And you understand how terrible things are with Nigeria. What I'm trying to say is that the Nigerian government gives this contract to these contractors, but they actually rely on the Nigerian army or civil defense or whomever is available with arms, officially paid and trained by the Nigerian government to protect the contractors. That is the funniest thing about what this is all about. And also want to quickly talk about Dambelo's position about China and the amount of interest and investment they have in education. Look at his own description of how some of the most talented, the best, and the better trained teachers are handling secondary schools, which is even elsewhere. Understand why China is where it is today. Education is always the bedrock of industrial revolutions, technology, and intellect. And wherever there's education, there's no doubt that foolish people, ignorant people, and people who will become leaders, and they will hold your country to ransom. That's what we're experiencing here. Nigeria is a big example for the where we are today, the bottom of the toilet. And spoke about is what all of us know about. We've been covering local governments, we've got that are cannot even be described as poultry farms. We're talking with every day you see pictures of secondary schools that have been abandoned in north in the south. But the question to ask ourselves is, what about even our universities? Is there any university in Nigeria apart from private universities that should be generally referred to as universities? Definitely no. That's the truth. It's the sad reality of our educational system. And as you know, in a few days, we'll probably be talking about our lecturers going on strike because the Nigerian government, led by Tinubu, has refused to pay them what they deserve. So maybe that will be another year of strike. And because one thing everybody must also understand is that they love the strikes. The moment there are university strikes, uh, high institutions going on, they can keep the students off campuses. They don't have to. Their children who are not affected are going to some of the biggest or the greatest or the most expensive schools in the world. So that's a dilemma we're faced with. But Dambelo, who I have a lot of respect for, and I wish could have spoken more about this based on his experience both in China and his experience recently. He was in Nigeria. And by the way, I want to thank him. We were together at the police headquarters where we led this protest on behalf. And it was Nambelo assisted with a lot of publicity, and he personally came over to Abuja, and we had hands together and had that very solid and successful historical protest on behalf of the police. But I just want to say that my thoughts align with his. Our position has been that we must invest in education. We'll do everything we can. We should do everything we can to invest in education. But we are not going to get to that point where we can even invest in education, like Dan Bello rightly said, until we have a revolution, because we change the mindset of the people who are taking local resources for schools to send their children to school abroad, including those who own private schools in Nigeria. They don't even send their children to their private universities. When you have vice chancellors of universities who don't trust the education system in the country, or principals of secondary school who don't send their children to public schools, but rather send them to private schools, and it's still money meant for the education of the public schools. I mean, invested money that was supposed to be invested in public schools to train their own kids. There is no way trusted with education can ever let them or make them function. So that's why I would submit in support of what Dan Bello just said.
Thank you so much, Sure. Thank you so much, Dan Bello. I think what I'm gonna put as maybe my own bit, then the closed will also come in at some point before we move on to the state of the Nigerian police. Then Nigerians listening to us on X, social media, right? The education that gets you climb quite rapidly on social ladder. It is to move you from the standard of living to a better standard of living. I am a witness, for example, because of the quality of education I had in Nigeria. See, from my what do you call it now? From my play group all the way to the university, every step of the way has been through private. Yes, all the way to uni. I schooled in one of the most expensive schools in Nigeria. Yeah. So that gave me an edge in the labor market. I finished my school on time of 22. And by then I was already a chartered accountant. Like I already above most people, in the labor market. Then, by virtue of where I worked, that gave me a ticket to the world. Like it flattened the world for me. So that was climb for me. But where I got a rude shock, right? Because I lived a sheltered and comfortable life. One of the rude shock I got was when I had to teach secondary school students. Looking at the level of education I had, and I benchmarked it to what I grew up and thought was normal, it was a shock to me. It was a shock. I don't know the infrastructure. I schooled secondary school 2003 to 2006. We're using marker boards back then. I served somewhere in Cross River. This was year 2012 to early 20. They were still using chalkboard, like chalk freaks. When last did I see chalk? That was in my primary school. Chalk. I had to mark scripts and seeing the thought process, seeing what the people call the leaders of the future, how they express their thought process on paper. It was heartbreaking to me. There is a massive gulf. Massive gulf. A whole lot has to be done. I would say the peace in developing a nation is a human resource. It's not a resource. And if the human resource goes to waste, today Nigeria's median age is what? 18.3 years old. 18.3 years old, a mass of youth that cannot think critically to save their own lives, up their shoulders with their mates in other countries, then there's really a problem. Because you're going to have a mass of so negatives. What you want is to be in a position where people are mentally enlightened to what they are designed to do, play their role in improving the standard of living of the nation. See, ideally the end game is to be educated to a point you know what to do. So that you're not just doing a job to pay bills you cannot avoid. Right? You are doing a job you don't fulfillment, making impact that matters. That's where we should. Education-wise, we have a lot to do. From what I've seen all over where I've traveled, yeah, the level and quality of education. So what I'm seeing out there, there is a massive gulf. And we are, just know that we are massively disadvantaged. We are massively disadvantaged. We're lagging behind on a handicap us collectively when you're talking about that social ladder. So there's a, just know that holding you down. They know one of the things that will liberate you, which is quality education. They are deliberate in it to keep you in chains. Just have that at the back of your mind. And they're busy handing out contracts to some people within their circle to ensure that wealth is within the hands of a few, while the majority keeps groping in the dark, praying to God for a heavenly tomorrow that might never come. That's the game I play. But yeah, enough of me speaking. I'll let my co-hosts chime in on this, and then we move to the second interesting part of the show. That's the state of Nigerian police. So, see if it's Chicha, please. We want to chime in on this.
Yes, thank you. We know that hi everyone. We know that a lot is going down in Nigeria, and we just need change. Educational system in Nigeria, everything topics, a lot to change. But I definitely want to engage with this, and let's see where everyone's head is at. Space, raise our hand if you want to make a submission, and we'll have about 3 each. So we have a few speakers up. I guess we'll start A and B. A and B. Good evening. Are you there, A and B? Okay, I don't think he's there. I'm also going to be moving some people down because so we can have enough space for other speakers. Imarana,